sure that in integration of public housing, people got to know people. I brought teams. I started teams in South Boston and in Roxbury, athletic teams, and they were integrated. They knew each other. They weren't fighting over who was white, who was black. They were fighting over who was going to win. You know, both teams were integrated, and then the parents got to know each other, and they found out that they had more in common than the narrow issues that divided them. And that's what happened then. During the housing, it didn't happen during the busing, education, and there was no political leadership. You know, there was really no political leadership coming out of City Hall at that time. I mean, I liked Kevin White; he was the mayor, but it just didn't work. They didn't see it that way, and a lot of the power was taken away from the mayor, Kevin White, because the courts jumped on it, and it became a court issue, and not a political issue. And it was the lead up to both of those events was so flawed that it was destined for failure on one end and potential for success on the other end. But you know, your family have experienced that whole couple of generations, right? 2 or 3 generations. That's the story that has to be told. It really has to be told. I'm probably too old now to tell the story, but it needs to be told by somebody down the line that a poor process results in a poor outcome, and a good process results in a positive outcome. Hello. What's this? Lunch? Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know this was going here. Yeah.
So our last question is, what job in politics did you enjoy being involved with most?
Well, this will come as a bit of a surprise, but being United States ambassador was the greatest experience that I ever had in my life. I was able to, I told you I was born in the Polish neighborhood of Boston. I got to know John Paul II long before he was Pope. I got to know Archbishop Karol Wojtyła, Father Wojtyła, who later became Pope John Paul II, in Boston. So I had his confidence, and we knew each other. And so he would allow me, as well as the President of the United States, President Clinton, to represent both of them in these worldwide humanitarian efforts across the world. And I went to, well, one example, I went to a place called Rakai. It's in Uganda. Uganda is, why don't you grab some pizza there before it gets cold? You guys eating the pizza? Isn't the other group?
No. I have no idea.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I want to make sure that it's not the other groups before I dig in.
Oh, okay. Rakai was this is before the AIDS epidemic was really discovered, was dealt with. We're the first city in America that passed out clean needles to drug addicts to prevent the spread of AIDS. That was very, very controversial at the time. It probably isn't as controversial now, but they wanted to run you out of town for coming up, imagine way back then, passing out clean needles, hypodermic needles to drug addicts so that they wouldn't pass on AIDS to HIV. Well, Rakai, the place that I worked, was the epicenter of the AIDS epidemic in the world. That's where 75% of the people in this village that I worked in Africa, representing the Pope, he and the President, died of AIDS. These are kids and mothers and fathers and whatever. But, maybe we got like Bono and all those guys to get interested in this whole thing. But it was, that was the greatest challenge that I ever had. And then I went on like 4 or 5 of these humanitarian missions representing the Pope and the President. I was the first person to arrive in a place called Maharashtra in India. 35,000 people were dead in this earthquake. I was there the day after. And as I was there, you could see all these bodies not even buried yet, this whole thing. I was in the middle of the Civil War in Port-au-Prince in Haiti. I was in Sarajevo in former Yugoslavia many times during the war, and Belgrade up there where the Orthodox were, then down to where the Muslims most are. So I've seen all this, but I never had any kind of experience like this as mayor. You know, you don't travel like this. You don't see these kind of situations. I was the first person on the ground. I think I was in Northern Ireland during the Civil War. I don't know, 20 times during the violence and the conflict. So that. If I had to point out to anything that has been the most rewarding in my life, it's been the experience, not only the experience of seeing it, but the experience of reporting it and being able to do something about it. And that was being United States ambassador. The reason why I was there, see, the ambassador to the Vatican is not the country of the Vatican. The country of the Vatican is that's the capital. But the Catholic Church goes across the world. And so you're assigned to the world. If you're ambassador to Germany, you go to Germany. If you're ambassador to Paris, you go to France. But if you're ambassador to the Vatican, your jurisdiction is wherever the Catholic Church has its jurisdiction, which is 1.6 billion people across the world. You know, so it's quite a gathering.
That's amazing. All right. Yeah, I don't want to eat up too much of the next group's time, but I just want to thank you. This was really an awesome experience for us. I'm going to take you up on your advice. Can I get a picture with you?
Sure, of course.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
If you do something on that poverty and inequality, I'll send you those couple of
Yeah,
articles.
absolutely. I love that.
I think it's a great challenge for you. I think you could really make a contribution to it. You know.
Absolutely. Why don't we, I have no idea how to do that. I'm going to steal someone from the hallway and just grab them.
I wish we had more time because a lot of my questions were about the Vatican.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, email them to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe bang on a few now. Like,
That's all from the deck group.
like before you were appointed, did you have any interest in international politics?
Well, before I was appointed by the President to be ambassador to the Vatican, there was a magazine that said that I was going to be Secretary of Labor. And I think the President was going to appoint me Secretary of Labor. But then he needed somebody to deal with this issue here at the Catholic Church, so that's why.
Do you think he appointed you because of your relationship with John Paul
Yeah,
already?
yeah, it's a good question.
All right, sure.
What are we going to stand around here? Yep. Come on over here.
Tighten it up. Come on.
Should I go on the other side, maybe?
Yeah, come over here.
Even it out.
There you go. 1, 2, 3. One more.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, take a breath. Have some pizza. Relax for a
Who's the
minute.
pizza for?
Us.
Everybody?
Absolutely.
Go ahead, jump in there.
Is that
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Sure, indeed. What's your last name?
Alphabet.
Craig, yeah.